Namaste, Professor. We begin.
Namaste, sir.
Good afternoon, one and all.
Hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay.
We are starting. We are starting. Shall we?
Yes.
Good afternoon, one and all. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome you all of to this International Sri Shankara Studies Circle. First, I invite Professor Srikala M. Nair, Director, International School of Sri Shankara Studies, for the welcome address.
Thank you, Anu. Good afternoon and welcome to this monthly study circle. Friends, this afternoon we have two luminaries in the horizon of contemporary Indian philosophy, Professor Arindam Chakravarti, who needs no introduction to the philosophy fraternity, particularly when it comes to Indian philosophy, and also Professor Saccidananda Misra, who would read the text for us, whose contributions, particularly in the field of Nyaya and Vedanta, has been well recognized. Professor Chakravarti was personally had high appreciation of International School of Sri Shankaracharya Studies, taking up the textual studies, something which a lot of scholars these days do not take it up. And we all are aware how significant it is to get back to the text. And this study circle has been initiated with the aim to remind senior scholars, senior by age like me, about the significance of getting back to the text, and also to initiate the younger generation about the need to get back to the text or read the text as such. And I'm indeed grateful to Professor Arindam Chakravarti, who has immediately agreed to chair the session because he was particularly interested in the Brahma Sutra Shankara Bhashya. And when I've told him that Mishraji is going to read the text, he has at once agreed to chair the session. And I'm pretty aware that it is late, quite late in the evening in his place, but nevertheless he is awake and then has agreed to kindly join us. So on behalf of the whole community of this study circle, I extend a very warm welcome to Professor Arindam Chakravarti to this online platform. Professor Saccidananda Misra is a scholar by himself, and now he has this added responsibility of being the member secretary of Indian Council of Philosophical Research, an agency most of us rely on for pursuing research in Indian philosophy. He is basically a scholar by himself. It is a great fortune of ICPR to have a scholar to be at the helm of affairs. As the famous Subhashita goes, Vidvatam cha, Nirbhitvam cha, Naiva Tulyam kadachana. All of us know. Sudeshe Pujyate Raja Vidwan Sarvatra Pujyate. So we have invited Mishraji on the basis of his scholarship and his commitment to the Vedantic studies. As I reiterate, in the southern region, the Dakshinavardha, Vedanta studies, and particularly attending to the Bhashyas, is very, very significant. It's like a life breath. And we are happy that scholar from Banaras Hindu University join us in this feat. So friends, this afternoon we have chosen, or rather Professor Misra has chosen a sutra which is my favorite as well, Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa, for a couple of reasons. This is an Ekapadam Sutram, as you all know, which in fact is a continuation of the previous sutra where the Sarvajñatva of Brahman has been asserted. So this again Badarayana continues with his exercise, and in the next sutra, that is the Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa, he is trying to reaffirm it, citing its origin from the Vedas. Now, with regard to Shastras, quickly there is a division between the Paurushaya and the Paurushaya Shastras. We have the Paurushaya Shastras like the Ashtadhyaya of Panini, which hold a inferior position when compared to the Apaurushayas. And as you know, as again resorting to Shruti, we know that Apaurushayas are the very breath of the Absolute, as Brihadaranyaka says that it is Purusha Nishwasaha. And this, in a way, signifies both the Absolute as well as the Shastra. So, in brief, the sutra as seen by Shankara underscores the significance of putting Brahman in Shruti. As I see it, there seems to be a Parasparashrayatva, wherein an exercise has been done where both the Absolute as well as the Shruti get validated, the Absolute being located in Shruti and Shruti being an agency that speaks about the Absolute. So both of them get validated with the support of each other. We have masters around to speak about the sutra. So I once again welcome the scholarly gathering who have assembled in this online platform to discuss about this important sutra with the Shankara Bhashya for this afternoon's discussion. Once again, on behalf of the International School for Sri Shankara Studies, I welcome you all to this. I would like to call it a satsang, because this is precisely what we are doing, where we are trying to read the text and then speak how the masters have interpreted it. And of course, all of us are free to add or attach any contemporary interpretations along with this. So with this few words as prelude, I stay away from the stage and then pass on to Anu to take the proceedings further. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a wonderful welcome speech. And we have fortunate to have Professor, none other than Professor Arindam Chakrabarti, internationally renowned professor in Indian philosophy. I invite him to chair the session.
Mata Mahashailam Terambam Apitamaham Sitaramam Guru Naumi Dvaita Dvaita Vilakshanam Sarva Bhavamayam Chitram Satyanatyamidam Jagat Ardhanarishwaras Tatra Nartaka Saccidambare. I am doing this at a very odd time for Hawaii. I'll be able to listen for at most 1 hour. So I don't want to take up too much time. I just am eager to listen to the word for word interpretation of the Shankara Bhashya. I would just mention, I was raised one question about why we are doing this from, of course, the point of view of a close acquaintance with a seminal text like the Brahma Sutras and Shankara's interpretation of it. It is obviously important. But if we take philosophy in the broader sense, then if it was about the origin of the universe, Yatova Imani Bhutani Jayante, etc., as the first sutra was, one can give some secular justification as to why that sutra is important. I'm talking about 112. So 111 is Athato Brahma Jignasa. And everybody here knows how people have to spend a lot of time on that. That's the philosophical question as to why should one be interested in wanting to know the nature of Brahman. And then the answer in the second sutra is because if you are interested in the world and how the world began, origin of the cosmos, then you should be interested in Brahman, although the word Brahman is not mentioned in the second and our third sutra. Janmadhyasya yataha, that from which Janma, etc., origin of the universe, etc. And then, but then comes this strange sutra, which it seems is only relevant in the strictly Vedic context, that Brahman is the origin of Vedas. If we take by Shastra, Vedas. And as Sri Kala has already hinted, it is not only a mutual sort of vicious cycle kind of dependence. Who is dependent on who? Brahman or on Vedas, or Vedas on Brahman. But before that, a big question arises. If we take the expression Śāstrayoni, on which an abstraction operator is added, Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa, the property of being Śāstrayoni, and to that, Hetau Panchami. So, because of its property of being the origin of Shastras. Now, as one realizes when one has to teach at every level, first year undergraduate all the way up to PhD, outside of India, we may know a lot of Sanskrit words, but if we promise to explain them, actually even in India, we should be able to translate them. The shortcut is taken by the Indian, not the Pandits, by the Indian English-speaking philosophy professors in colleges and universities. So they say origin, yoni means origin of the Shastras. But then how to translate Shastras? So that's a very simple question of mine. Would you say scriptures? That's the mechanical way of saying it. Are Vedas scriptures? Because the word scripture comes from writing, script. And Shruti is not like Mahabharata, that Ganesha, whom I did a salutation to in the beginning. He writes down and Vyasa dictates, or somebody writes down, Shankaracharya writes down. That can be called scriptures. Even Manu Samhita can be called scriptures, because there is a karta, there is an agent who writes those words. But the Vedas, especially in the Mimamsa, and of course Vedanta is also Mimamsa. So Uttara and Purva Mimamsa Shastra, Vedas are supposed to be not only authorless, they are supposed to be without an origin. Anadi. Okay. Veda is the essence of the Vedas is Shabda Tattva, about which Bhartrihari in the Brahmakanda begins the first verse by saying, Anadi Nidanam Brahma Shabda Tattvam Yadaksharam Vivartate Arthabhavena Prakriya Jagato Yata. So we are talking not about Panini's grammar or even Vyasa's Mahabharata. We are talking about the Vedas, which, according to the school in which the Brahma Sutra occurs, has not only no author, it has no origin. So, Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa, if we interpret it by as a Śāstrayoni, as a Shashti Tatpurusha, as Śāstrasya Yoni, the origin of Vedas, if by Shastra we mean Vedas, that seems like what in contemporary English we call an oxymoron, a contradiction in terms, because Veda means originless words. Nitya. Okay? So Veda is apaurushaya and it is Nitya. If it is Nitya, it cannot have, it does not need and it is incapable of having any yoni. It's like asking for Shiva's birth. That's why I started with that verse where I said, Mata Maha Mahashailam. Ganesha has a maternal grandfather, which is Himalaya. Himalaya's daughter is Parvati. Parvati's son is Ganesha. So Mata Maha Mahashailam. Herambam Apitamaham. Ganesha does not have, okay, any father's father. Professor Rakesh Chandra is thankfully inaudible, but not invisible. So we can all see, Rakesh Babu, that you are having some administrative conversation somewhere, hopefully administrative. That's okay, that's fine. So, Apitamaham. Why? Because Ganesha's father is Shiva. Shiva has no father. So if somebody is called Shiva Yoni, Shiva Janani, or Shiva, origin of Shiva, that's like Bandhyaputra, that's like son of a barren woman. Because there is no Shastra Yoni, there is no Veda origin. So I'm sure Saccidananda Misra will raise this. So that's one question I wanted to raise. How come in support of Janmadhyasya Yata, as if a hetu is being, a reason is being given, Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa. Okay. Like we say, Parvato Banhiman Dhumat. So we say, Janmadhyasya Yata, Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa. But the hetu is a viruddha hetu. It proves just the opposite of what it's supposed to prove. Because, and not even that, the whole Ekapadam as one word, Śāstrayoni, that by itself reminds me of Srimad Bhagavatam, where in in the description of Janmashtami, when Krishna is being born, contradictory terms are used. In the middle of the night, in the prison, Vasudeva and Devaki are imprisoned. And what is happening? Jayamane Ajane. The birthless is being born. Now, one very fascinating solution is done by an early 20th century Bra.Sū.Śā.bhā.1.1.3, the only Shakti Bhashya of Brahma Sutra was written in his advanced age by my teacher, Professor Shivajivan Bhattacharya's grandfather, Panchanana. And in that, by Brahman is meant Devi, that is Uma Aimavati. So the whole Brahma Sutra is interpreted as it is a proof of the nature of the goddess. So in that, he says, Ahameva swayamidam vadami chushtam deve birutamanusevi iti Devi Sukta mantra varnat. Because in the Devi Suktam, famous Devi Suktam of Rigveda, okay, where the daughter of a rishi called Ambrina, and the daughter herself is named Vak. She had a trance and she has a possession, divine possession by the goddess, by Devi, Mahadevi. And she said, Aham Rudrevir Vasuvish Charamyaham Aham Aditya Iruta Vishwadevai, etc., etc. And there she says, Ahameva Swayam Idam Vadami. Idam Rigvedadi Shastram Aham Vadami. So, but it is spontaneously done. The secret lies in this spontaneity. Why? Because the Vedas themselves say that they are the outbreathing, exhalation, nishwasitam of Brahman. I still think that it still seems to be inconsistent. Even if it is not uttered, written, it is just breathed out. It seems Shastrasya Yoni Vedasya Janma Sthanam Utpatti Sthanam. That seems like Utpatti Hinasya, that which is without origin, its origin. And that seems to be contradictory to me. So just to raise a question so that Saccidananda Misra can start by answering this Purva Paksha, I wanted to raise it, and I also wanted to mention this Shakti Bhashya, where the goddess. So the second interpretation of Śāstrayoni is not at all that Brahman or the Devi is the origin of Shastra. It's just the opposite. Second interpretation is a Bahubrihi Samas, where it says Shastrameva Yonirjasya. So Shastra is the, now here Yoni does not mean origin. It means Pramana. Okay. And they are also Panchanana. Bengalis are argumentative Indians. So he has questioned. He says, Shastram cha. He says that Tasmat Shastrameva Yoni Riti Karanam. Yoni can mean Karan. But if I say my proof that there is an international center for Shankaracharya studies in Kaladi. What is the pramana of that for me? The pramana is Sri Kala's Aptopadesha, Sri Kala's testimony. But I cannot call Sri Kala's testimony the cause of the center. It is a proof of the center, pramana, but not origin. So there is a big difference between karanam and pramanam. Okay? Because pramana is at most jnana karanam, not utpatti karanam. So how can you say Shastrameva yonir yasya? And Shankara says that Shastrameva yonir means Shastrameva karanam. Karanam nama. He says, Atava jatoktam rigvedadi shastram yoni karanam pramanamasya brahman. So he is equating, treating the word pramana and karana as synonymous, which is never done. You never call, okay? I mean, take the Anumana case, the classic case of pramana. Okay, I just gave an example from testimony, from inference. If I say, what is the pramana of there being fire in the hill? What is the proving reason, ground, pramana, jnanakaram, anumanam? And what is the anuma? The hetu. The hetu is dhuma. Now, should we therefore say that the cause of the fire is the smoke? It's just the opposite. So, pramana cannot be karana at all. Okay? Take pratyaksha. Okay? If there is this pencil in front of me, what is the pramana of the pencil? My pramakaranam is my eyes. Did the pencil come out of my eyes? No. So, Shastrasya yoni, if you interpret it this way, Shastrasya yoni riti vyakhyane swavachana virodha katham Shastram nama nityam janma rahitam yoni rahitam vedadi shastram nityasya shastrasya yonir na bhavati tasmat shastrasya yoniriti kathane swavachana vyagata यदि शास्त्रमेव योनिर्यस्य इति बहुब्रीहि समासः क्रियते तदा तु प्रमाणकारणयोर अभेदापत्ति, and that is not reasonable ever. It is the opposite. Okay. So very beautifully Panchanand Tarkaratna in the Shakti Bhashya says, it is neither a Bahubri nor a Shashti Tatpurusha Samasa. It is a Samahara Dvanda. Shastrancha Yonitvancha. Both of these are properties or Shaktis of the goddess. She has the power to be origin, not of Shastra, but of the whole world, whole the universe. Everything. She is called Brahmanda Bandodari. It is in her womb that the Brahmanda is created. But she is herself Shastra. Why? What is Veda? In fact, the original meaning of the word Brahman was Veda itself. Even now, in modern Sanskrit, when an old man like me very passionately speaks out and recites the Veda, Agnimide Purohitam, Yajgasya Deva Mrityajam, Sahasra-Shirsha Sahasraksha, then out of my mouth, the little drops of saliva which come out, Amarakosha calls it Brahmavindu. Okay? We all have had in school and college, old professors and teachers, if you sat too close on the front row, you would be showered with those Brahma Bindu. So why Brahma Bindu? Because Brahman is Veda. It is drops of those sounds. So Veda is Shabda Tattvam. Veda comes out of Om, out of which comes Saptavyarati, out of which comes Gayatri. An elaboration of Gayatri is rest of the Vedas. This is Veda's own Siddhanta. That Veda is of the nature of Vak. And who is Vak? The goddess herself. So she is Shastra and Yonitva together. Cha Shastram cha Yonitvam cha. Therefore, Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa iti sutrena Divya Swarupam Uchyate. The nature of this cosmic mother of the universe, the goddess herself. And there is no contradiction. The Apaurusheyatva and the Nityata of the Vedas are preserved. With this, I would request Saccidananda Misra ji to start explanation of the Shankara Bhashya.
Thank you, sir. It was delightful. Ma'am, if you want to comment anything, or
No.
shall we go?
Please go.
Okay, now I invite Professor Saccidananda Misra, Member Secretary, Indian Council of Philosophical Research, New Delhi, to share his thought on Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa. Welcome you, sir.
निधये सर्वविद्यानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां गुरवे सर्वलोकानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः. Respected Chairman Professor Arindam Chakravarti ji, respected participants and scholars from different part of country and different part of world. This is indeed a pleasure to be here, share the screen with Professor Arindam Chakravarti ji, reading whom we have understood many ideas and who is always a guiding principle for us. And even today's lecture, what is the essence of my lecture? That is, everything is explained by Professor Arindam Chakravarti ji. And I think that this lecture is not a lecture in the form of lecture, but the textual reading. So I would begin this sutra, this adhikarana. This is called Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa. So how this sutra is coming into play? This is the third sutra of Brahma Sutras. First one is Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Second one is Janmadhyasya Yataha. And third one is Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa. Simply it appears that when it is said Janmadhyasya Yataha, thereafter Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa. So it seems the case that why it is accepted that Brahman is cause of Janma, Sthiti and Laya. Janmadi, Janma, Sthiti, Laya. Karanam, Laya, Sthanam, Brahma. So this is supported by this sutra, Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa. However, when we read the text, Acharya Shankara's Bhashya, it reads something differently. He says, Jagat Karanatva Pradarshanena Sarvagam Brahma Ityupakshaptam Tadeva Dradhenla. Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa. So, this sutra is not to establish that Brahman is Jagat Janmadi Karana. Rather, this sutra is to establish, to support that Brahman is Sarvagya. So, in this way, this sutra is understood, explained by Acharya Shankar first. However, there are two interpretations given by Acharya Shankara. One interpretation, because there are two types of confusions. One confusion is whether Brahman is cause of origin of Shastra or not. Second one is whether Brahman is proved or known through Shastras or not. And these 2 points Acharya Shankara explained commenting on this sutra. So we can see there, because this is also a Mimamsa Shastra, Uttara Mimamsa, and it is accepted that Anadi Nidhanam Brahma Shabda Tattvam Yadaksharam, as Professor Arindam Chakravarti just quoted. So Shastra is actually, Shastra means Veda, Shashanat Shastram, Sansanat Shastram. There are two Vyutpattis, Shashanat Shastram and Sansanat Shastram, because they prescribe something to perform. Therefore, they are called Shastra. And they also give some insights. Therefore, they are called Shastra. So here in this Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa, one question is this one, that Brahma could not be cause of this Shastra, Veda. Why? Because Veda is considered to be eternal. There is a very well established doctrine of Purvamimamsakas, and it says that Vedas are apaurusheya. Vedas are not created by anyone, any person. Apaurusheya means not created by any person. So if Vedas are apaurusheya, how Brahman could be Shastrasya Yonihi, Shastrasya Karanam, Shashti Tatpurush Samas? Because as Professor Arindam Chakravarti has pointed it out, that there are two possibilities, and however there are not only two possibilities, but there is another third possibility also there, which is discovered by Nyaya Panchanana just in 20th century. So there are two possibilities, and one possibility is that Śāstrayonitva, Shastrasya Yonehe, Shastra Yonehe. So this is Shashti Tatpurush Samas. Second one is Shastram Yonihi Yasya, Saha Shastra Yonehe. So first one is Shashti Tatpurush Samas. Second one is Shashti Bahuvrihi Samas. So which one should we accept? And here Acharya Shankara is saying that both of these are accepted, one after another, because there are two confusions and both are removed by this. First confusion is this one, that Vedas are eternal, and because these Vedas are eternal, these are apaurusheya, so Brahman cannot be Shastra Yoni, Shastrasya Yoni, cause of origin of Shastra. So because there are many such statements in where it is said that Vedas are eternal, Nitya Daivi Vak. So if Vedas are eternal, how could they be created? There is no possibility of creation, and there is no possibility of origin. So this one is the problem, and this problem is discussed by Acharya Shankara first. And in order to discuss this problem, Acharya Shankara has started saying Jagat Karanatva Pradarshan, because in the earlier sutra it was said that Brahman is cause of Jagat. Janmadyasya yataha, Janmadi asya Jagataha. Asya means Jagataha. Janmadi, Janma Sthiti Laya. These three. So these three are attributed to Brahman. So Jagat Karanatva, if Brahman is Jagat Karana, so there is a necessity that Brahman should be Sarvagya. However, there is a problem. Problem is this one, as in the case of Sankhya philosophy, Prakriti is cause of this Jagat, this world, Upadana Karan. But Prakriti is not Sarvagya. Prakriti is not knowing. So Prakriti is not knowing this world. Prakriti is not Sarvagya. It is not omniscient. But this is cause of everything. So in that sense, are we talking about Jagat Karanatva? And if in that sense we are talking about Jagat Karanatva, there will be a great difficulty, because it is not established that Brahman must be omniscient in order to be cause of this world. Therefore, actually here, Brahman is not only considered Upadana Karana, rather Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana. Brahman is Upadana Karana, Vivarta Upadana. This is not Upadana Karana simply, but this is Vivarta Upadana Karana, and also Nimitta Karana. And Nimitta Karana can only be that thing, that one who knows. As in the case of Nayayikas, God is taken to be Nimitta Karana of this world, creator of this universe, and he is Sarvagya. So here, this Sarvagyata can be there only if Nimitta Karanata is postulated. And this Nimitta Karanata is also understood there from that sutra, Janmadhyasya Yataha. Because Brahman is Nimitta Karana as well as Upadana Karana. So here, Acharya Shankara begins this text, this commenting on this sutra. Mahataha, how? Because the aim of explanation of this sutra is this one, to establish that Brahman is Sarvagya. Sarvagyata of Brahman is established from this sutra according to Acharya Shankara. This is the one meaning, one understanding of this sutra. And the second one is that Brahman is established from Shastra. Brahman, there is a Praman. Brahman, Shastra is actually Praman in proving Brahman. So this is the second one. I will come to that second point later. So first one is this one, and here also there are some arguments in second position also. Why? Because according to Advaita philosophy, a Siddha Vastu can be known through different pramanas. This is not the case that only one praman is capable of making us aware of something which is Siddha Vastu. If there is a pot that can be perceived, that can be inferred, that can be known through Shabda Pramana. So Brahman is also Siddha Vastu. And if that is Siddha Vastu, and this is the problem. There are arguments from Mimamsakas. Mimamsakas are of this opinion that the whole world is talking about only Sadhya. It is not talking about Siddha. Amnayasya Kriyarthatvad Anarthakya Matadarthana. So Amnaya is only Kriyartha. So Amnaya, Vedas are proposing, Vedas are expounding only Sadhya. For example, Swarga. Swarga is Sadhya. If you perform some yagyas, you will go to heaven, and this cannot be established through any other pramanas, neither through perception nor through inference, but only Shabda is there to prove it, to establish it. So if this is the case, so the problem here in Advaita philosophy, Brahman can be, because it is very well quoted statement, Anubhava Vasayitvad Brahma Vidyaya. So Brahma Vijnana is Anubhava Vasai. Anubhava Vasai means it culminates in experience. And if it culminates in experience, that means there is not only one pramana to prove Brahman. because only Shabda Pramana is not there, but there is another Pramana also which proves Brahman. However, there will be difficulty to understand how these Pramanas operate in the field of, to establish Brahman, because when a Pramana is applied, there is a need of distinction between Pramana and Prameya, and here there ceases to be any distinction between Pramana and Prameya. So this problem is also there. Second one, that if Brahman is Siddha Vastu, there that can be proved through different Pramanas, can be known through different Pramanas. There is no possibility, it will be wrong to accept that there is only one Pramana to prove that. So to remove these two problems, two objections, Acharya Shankara has explained this sutra. So first, one is there to prove, to establish the omniscience of Brahman, and it is said, Mahataha Rigvedadehe Shastrasya Aneka Vidya Sthanopabrinhitasya Pradeepavat Sarvarthavad Dyotinah Sarvagya Kalpasya Yonihi Karanam Brahma. So this is the first explanation. Rigvedadi Shastra are Mahan, great. And it is very famous that Sahasravartma Samavedaha. Samved has 1000 branches. And in the same way, Rigveda has so many branches. So all these Vedas are having so many branches, and in such a way, these are also having Aneka Vidyasthan, Ashtadasha Vidyasthan. So Ashtadasha Vidyasthanopabrinhitasya. So Pradeepavat Sarvarthavad Dyotinah. As the lamp illuminates everything in the same way, illuminates the things which are present in the room, in the same way this Shastra illuminates everything. Sarvarthavad Dyotinah. So if it is illuminating Sarvartha, that means Vedas are like Sarvagya, because they are illuminating everything. That means they are very much like Sarvagya, Sarvagya Kalpasya. Tasya Yonihi, cause of that, origin of that Brahman. So in what sense Brahman could be origin of Brahman, Vedas? Because there is a problem. Which problem I just highlighted, that it is accepted that Vedas are taken to be eternal. And if Vedas are taken to be eternal, and on the other hand, you are accepting that Vedas are originated from Vedas originate from Brahman, then you are contradicting either this or that. You cannot accept both of them. And here Acharya Shankara is willing to accept both these positions. On the one hand, he is willing to accept that Brahman is actually, Vedas are actually eternal. Secondly, he wants to establish that they originate. They are coming from Brahman. So they are coming from Brahman. This is the one point, and second point is this one, that Vedas are eternal. And these two he is willing to establish from this commentary. So first of all, he is trying to establish that these Vedas are not, this Shastra is not created by anybody else. Because this Shastra is so broad. So nahi drishasya shastrasya rigvedadi lakshanasya, such type of Shastra like Rigvedadi, Sarvagya Gunanyutasya, that Shastra is actually endowed with omniscience, qualities like omniscience, Sarvagya Gunanyutasya. Sarvagyad anyatah sambhavosti, that cannot have origination from anyone else. So Sarvagyad anyah sambhavah asti. it cannot come into existence, or it cannot come from anyone else who is not Sarvagya, who is not omniscient. So here there is one example. यद्यद् विस्तरार्थम शास्त्रम यस्मात् पुरुष विशेषात् संभवति यथा व्याकरणादि पाणिन्यादेर ज्ञेयैक देशार्थमपि स ततोपि अधिकतर विज्ञान इति प्रसिद्धं लोके. The point is this one, that whatever one writes, this is not his complete knowledge. What one writes, the person must be knowing more than that. So if the person is, there is another point, if someone is plagiarizing, that is a different story. But whatever, because he is not writing that. So whatever one is writing, the person is knowing more than that. For example, when Panini is writing, Paniniya Vyakarana grammar, he is writing, while writing, when he is writing, he is knowing so many things. He must be knowing more than what he has written. So in that way, this kind of Shastra, which are very much like Sarvagya, they cannot come from someone who is knowing less than that. So in that way, it is established. And here he is going to next line. Kimu vaktavyam aneka shakha bheda bhinnasya deva tiryang manushya varnashramadi pravibhag heto rigveda dhyakyasya sarva jnana karasya apratne naiva lila nyayena purusha nishashavat yasman mahato bhutad yone samava. So he says that Kimu Vaktavya, what can be said? These Vedas are actually Aneka Shakha Bheda Bhinna. They are divided in many shakhas, many branches. As I explained, it is well quoted in Paniniya Mahabhashya, Sahasravartma Samaveda. So there are 1000 branches of Samaveda. And in the same way, there are so many branches of Rig Veda, so many branches of Yajurveda, Shukla Yajurveda, Krishna Yajurveda, and so on. Different shakhas are there, Madhyandin Shakha, Taittiriya Shakha, and so on. So, Aneka Shakha Bheda Bhinnasya. Deva, Dyotanad Devaha. Many times it is translated as gods. But I find it is something problematic to translate Deva as a gods. But it can be understood in that way, Deva, Tiryam. So other animals, Tiryam, Manushya, human beings. So Deva, Tiryam, Manushya, Varna, Shramadi, Prabhibhaga Hetu, Varna and Ashrama. So there are 4 ashramas, there are 4 varnas. So all these are based on Vedas. So these all which are based on Vedas, and so many things where everything is included, like such type of Vedas, such type of Shastras, Rig Vedadi, they cannot be a product of someone who is not omniscient. So there is a necessity that there must be someone who is knowing all this, and knowing all this, only then the person could be the creator or could be the origin of these Vedas. So Leela Nyaya, but how? How Brahman could be cause of this Veda? It is said very clearly, Leela Nyayana. Lokavattu Leela Kaivalyam. So this is actually a kind of Leela. So he is creating it, but you cannot say that he is creating. So in the Leela, when we see Ram Leela or Ras Leela, so in Leelas, when you watch Ram Leela, Ram is killing Ravana. But actually Ram is not, Ram is a person who is playing the role of Rama, and Ravana is another person who is playing the role of Ravana. But neither Ram is killing nor Ravana is getting killed. So this is called a Leela. So in the same way here, this whole creation is Leela. And in this way you can understand the concept of Vivarta. When it is said this world is Vivarta from Brahman, that means this world is not created from Brahman. It is said many times that world is not created from Brahman. Because if it were created, it ceases to be Vivarta. Atatvato nyatha pratha. It is very famous statement. Atatvato nyatha pratha vivarta ityudurita. So atatvika anyatha bhava. It is not real. So this is not real. This creation of Vedas is also not real. So creation of Vedas is also not real. And in order to explain that point, Acharya Shankar has taken this example, this beautiful example, Purusha Nishwasavat. As we breathe, when we leave the breathe, that is Nishwasa. So exhale, when we exhale, that is Nishwasa. So this is going on without our knowledge. We don't do that knowingly, but it happens without our knowledge, without coming into play. This is to say, in Nyaya philosophy, there is a concept of Jivana Yoni Yatna. So this is considered to be a kind of Jivana Yoni Yatna. And here, without all other yatnas are caused by knowledge and also by kriti. But this Jivana Yoni Yatna is not caused by knowledge. So when we are willing to understand this concept, concept of origin of this Veda, we must be very careful that Brahman has not created these Vedas in the way we create these novels, these poetries, etc. But those are actually, these Shastras are actually like Nishwasa, Purusha Nishwasa. Yasman Mahato Bhutat Yoneh Sambhavah. Yasman Mahato Bhutat Yoneh Sambhavah. So this Mahat Bhuta and Bhutat Yoneh Sambhavah. Asya Mahato Bhutasya Nishashitam Etad Rigveda. And here again, Acharya Shankara is quoting one mantra, one part of mantra. Asya Mahato Bhutasya Nishashitam Etad Rigveda. So this Veda is also, so here you can see that both the problems are handled. One problem was that how Vedas could have been created by Brahman and how Vedas could be eternal. And taking this idea, he is giving that actually these Vedas are created like Leela Nyayana. Leela Nyayana, that means they are not created. Secondly, they are like Nishwasa. So as Nishwas is not done knowingly in the true sense, that way these Vedas are coming to us from Brahman. Tasya Mahato Bhutasya, and from whom these Vedas, these Shastras are coming, that Mahatbhuta, that Brahman, Niratishayam Sarvagyatvam Sarvashaktimatvam. There is Niratishaya Sarvagyatvam. Niratishaya means there is no possibility of more than that. Atishaya, Niratishayatva, where is no possibility of more than that, that is Niratishaya. Niratishayam Sarvagyatvam. So there is Sarvagyatva, and that Sarvagyatva is Niratishaya Sarvagyatva. Because there is no possibility of more than that. And also Sarva Shaktimatva, because whatever is performed, whatever is done, that is done from that perspective, from this angle. So there are two things established from this statement. There is Sarvagyatva and Sarva Shaktimatva. So here in earlier sutra, it was established that Janamadesya Yataha, Janma Sthiti Laya Karanam Brahma, this point was established by earlier sutra. This sutra is not establishing that, according to Acharya Shankara. He is not saying that Janmadesya Yataha Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa. So in that way, he is not willing to understand the meaning of this sutra. However, in some commentators, some Bhashyakaras have taken these two as a single sutra. Janmadesya Yataha Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa. So these two sutras taken together form one sutra according to some Bhashyakaras. But according to Acharya Shankara, these two sutras are not taken together to form one sutra, because in one sutra, that is Janmadesya Yataha, is another adhikarana, a different adhikarana, and this Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa is another adhikarana, Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa. So that this first meaning is explained by Acharya Shankara. Then he is also discovering the second meaning, Athva. However, when we find Athva in the text, sometimes it appears that alternatively, this Yathoktam Rigvedadi Shastram Yonihi Karanam. So this alternatively sometimes is understood exclusively. That is to say, first one is rejected, left, and this second one is taken. But here I don't think that this is the situation here to understand in that way. Rather, the point is this one here, that here Acharya Shankara is willing to say that the earlier meaning is also accepted and this meaning is also accepted, and we have to accept both these meanings. And if we don't accept any one of these meanings, there will be some points left. And in order to understand these 2 points, we have to be very careful in this regard. And actually there are some issues with my mobile, so therefore I have taken it to charging point. Okay. So here Acharya Shankara is taking that point from different perspective, and he is saying that Athva, this one minute please. Sorry for this disturbance. So he is saying Yathoktam Rigvedadi Shastram Yonihi Karanam Pramanamasya. As Professor Arindam Chakravarti has already pointed it out, that this is second meaning is taken, and how this second meaning could be understood. Because this in this sutra, this yoni word is taken to mean pramana, and yoni means karana. Yoni doesn't mean pramana. So here we can see that as the classical example also quoted by the Honorable Chairman, that Parvataha Vanyaman Dhumat. So Dhumat here, there is Panchami, and that Panchami is taken to be Hetu Panchami. Why? It means Hetutva, Karanatva, Hetu Panchami. So there are 2 types of causes. One is Utpadaka and another one is Gyapaka. Gyapaka Hetu Panchami. So it is explained by Nayayikas that in the sutra when we say Parvataha Vanyaman Dhumat, after Dhuma there is a Panchami, and that Panchami means Jnana Gyapyatva. Gyapyatva. Panchami means Gyapyatva. And Dhuma means Dhuma Jnana. So here, when we take this meaning, this is not the primary meaning of this term. Rather, it is secondary meaning of this term. This is Lakshanika. So when we say Śāstrayonitvād in this sense, Shastram Yonihi Karanam Pramanam. And he is very, very much aware of this point, Acharya Shankara, that Karana doesn't mean Pramana, but Karana could mean metaphorically Pramana, because Pramana is actually Prama Karana. And in the idea of Pramana, Karana is included, Karana is included. Therefore, Pramana means Prama Karana. Therefore, Lakshanik meaning of this yoni could be Prama Karana Pramana. And that Acharya Shankara is willing to convey, and he is saying that Digyatoktam Rikvedadi Shastram Yonihi Karanam Pramanam Asya Brahmanaha Yathavat Swarupadhigame. So in order to know the real nature of Brahman, these Rigvedadi Shastra are actually Karana. So Adhigame Karanam. Here you can see Swarupadhigame Karanam. Yonihi nama Karanam. Where they are Karana? They are actually Brahmanaha Yathavat Swarupadhigame Karana. So Karana, where Shastras are Karanas, Shastra is not Karana in Brahman, but it is Karana in Brahmanaha Swarupadhigame. In the knowledge of Brahman, these Rigvedadi Shastras are cause. So Shastra, why? This is very conclusively Acharya Shankara is saying, Shastra deva pramana jagato janmadi karanam brahma adhigamyate ityabhipraya. The point is this one, that there is only one pramana through which it is established that Brahman is cause of jagat janmadi. Brahman is cause of the production, creation of this jagat, and also sthiti of preservance of this jagat, and also dissolution of this jagat. Why there is no other pramana to establish? Because we can see Taraka Pratishthānāt and some other sutras where it is very well established that no perception can provide this, establish this, no inference can establish it. So we have to reach at this point only through Shastra. So the point is this one, that these other pramanas are not capable of establishing that this jagat is caused by Brahman and preserved by Brahman, and this jagat dissolved in Brahman. So these three cannot be established from this, and this is also quoted by Acharya Shankara, Shastram Udahritam Purva Sutra. And what is that Shastra? This is Udahrita in Purva Sutra, earlier Sutra, Yato va imani bhutani jayante ityadi. So Uchyate. So now the conclusion is made from this sutra. Tatra Purva Sutra Ksharena Spashtam Shastrasya Anupadana Janmadi Kevalam Anumanam Upanyastam Ityashanketa Tam Ashankam Nivartaitum Idam Sutram Prabhavite Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa. So Acharya Shankara says that actually if Janmadhyasya yatah, this sutra was there and this Śāstrayonitvād sutra was not there, then there was a great difficulty to understand the point. Because in that case there could have been this confusion that this Brahman is cause of this jagat and cause of this preservation of this world and also dissolution of this jagat. So this could have been the case as if there is one inference is proposed. For example, you can see Athato Brahma Jigyasa, and it is said Janmadhyasya yataha. Why? Śāstrayonitva Janmadi asya yataha. So Janmadi asya yataha. Yataha iti yataha, here also there is a Panchami, and Panchami could be to, as we see in the case of Parvataha Vanyaman Dhumat, in that way. So it could have been the possibility to understand that this Brahman is cause of this world and also the cause of this preservation of this Jagat, this world, and also the cause of dissolution of this Jagat, and it is established through inference. So in order to make this very clear that this cannot be established, it is not proved through inference, rather there is only one pramana to reach at this conclusion, that Brahman is the cause of this Jagat, that is Shastra, and therefore this sutra is taking these two points together, one after another, tam ashankam nirakartum, to reject that objection. This sutra is there, and this sutra says that Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa. So this was the meaning of, and how Acharya Shankara has explained, and how I could grasp the what Acharya Shankara has told. I want to conclude here, and if there are some questions, I will be happy to answer if I could, and if I could not, there are so many scholars who might be answering those questions. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Saccidananda ji. Mama Kantaswara Sruyate Nava.
Shruyate Acharya.
So, because in honor of Murali Madhavan ji, my revered friend, who always asks me, challenges me to compose a nice Ramyam Sanskrit kavita.
Very good.
So,
very good, Arindamji. Very good, Arindamji. I'm happy.
I'll have a small question that before we ask the question, I will just please Murali Madhavan ji, by this summary of this. I told you that I take Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa as actually by Dhvani or Vyanjana, actually referring to the goddess Sharada, who of course, as you know, presides over Kashmir. So here is Murali Madhavan ji, your poem. I just wrote it as I was listening to Saccidananda ji just now.
Yes.
And it is in Malini Chand, in which the famous Asitagiri Samam Syat Kajjolam Sindhu Patre is also composed. So, Madhumaya Rasakupa Pratibha Jnana Rupa, Madhumaya Rasakupa Pratibha Jnana Rupa, Shruti Shirasi Vidipta Samaganaischa Gita, Nikhila Vachana Vachya Brahmajonistu Avachya, Brahmajonistu Avachya, Dhavala Kamala Varna Sharada Avyat, Asman Avyat, Sharada Avyad Avarna, Dhavala Kamala Varna Sharada Avyad Avarna, Madhumaya Rasakupa Pratibha Jnana Rupa. Atra Pratibha Jnanasya ayamiva prasanga. Atra Shankara Bhāshyasya Bhamati Tikayam Vachaspati Mishrena Ati Rasavat Prasangaha Kritaha. Vachaspati says, as Saccidananda was saying, that if Brahman is Anubhava Vedya, then Brahman cannot be Vedaika Vedya. Anubhava Vedya. And normally we say in Bhasha that there are three ways in which you can know Brahman. Apart from the positive and the negative, okay, you can know Brahman by Shruti, Yukti or Anubhava. But it is the Anubhava which becomes Shabda-paroksha in the Vivarana Prasthana. That although it is from the words of the Vedas that you get the pramana, but as Sri Ramakrishna says beautifully, once you have got the words and you are understood by Jadaja Lakshana, then you can throw away the ladder of the words and just be identical. So pramana and prameya becomes the same in the anubhava. And this kind of anubhava, according to Bhartrihari, and remember Sarvajñatva, Saccidananda ji, I have you pinned on my screen, so I am only looking at you. Like Arjuna had only the eye of the bird. I am only looking at you. Yeah. So I am telling you that this Pratibhadva Sarvam iti Patanjali Sutram Vartate. So Sarvajñatva of many kinds. Okay. One of them is called Pratibhajñanam. And this is not just, Bhartrihari's Pratibha, which is behind instinctive knowledge also. Swaravrittim vikurute madho pungsko kilasya ityadi. But this is Pratibhadva kasya jnanam bhavati sarvam. Okay. So Pratibhajñanam is very important in this part. As you started by saying Sarvajñatva. If you read carefully, it is not Brahman's Sarvajñatva that is talked about. It is the Veda's Sarvajñatva. If you look at it, where Shankara is talking about, Veda is Sarvajñana Adhara. Of course, Brahman is Yah Sarvajña Sarvavit Yasya Jnanamayam Tapa Ityadi. But Veda has is Pratibhajñana itself. Okay. So Madhumaya Rasakupa Pratibhajñana Rupa Shruti Shirasi Vidipta Shruti Shira Vedanta Vedanteshu Prajwalita Agnivat Samaganaishcha Gita Nikhila Vachana Vachya Sarvatra Virodhalankara Brahma Yonistu Avachya. Okay. Okay. So, Akila Shabdamayi Kila Tetanu. Remember, in commenting on the Bhagavad Gita, Abhinav Gupta quotes his own kavita, own verse. Yatha Mayai Vastutam Tavachaka Kila Nastutirambike Nikhila Shabdamayi Kila Tetanu. So, Sarva Shabdaika Vachya Nikhila Vachana Vachya Brahmayonistvavachya. There is a Western literary device which is called intertextuality. So for one people immersed in the culture, these words are supposed to remind you of other texts that you have read. Now, any of you who perform this Sandhya Vandana before Gayatri Japa, there is a Gayatri Avahana mantra where this Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa sutrasya yoni shabda ucharito bhavati. Katam ayahi varade devi trakshare brahmavadini Gayatri chandasam mata brahmayonir namastute. So, Nikhila vachana vachya brahmayonistvavachya avachya Dhabala Kamala Varna Sharada Abhyad Avarna. Having said that, lots of Sanskritism. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity. My simple question is, and with that you can start the discussion. Saccidananda ji.
Ji.
Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa is a Brahma Sutram. Brahma Sutre Sutra Lakshanam Syat. Sutra Lakshanam should kateta. So you must, it must apply. What is the definition of sutra? Swalpaksharam, Śāstrayonitva is Swalpaksharam. Asandigdham.
Asandigdham.
Asya ayam artho va athava anyo artha. This is like a sandeha. This is like Thanurva Purushova. Yadi sutra sutra asandigdha syat, tada vakarena vikalpa vyakhyanam shankarena katham diyate. Iti yadi prashna syat, swalpaksharam asandigdham saravat, tatra yo virodho bhavati. In the definition of sutra itself, there is a contradiction apparently. Why? At the end it says Vishwato Mukham.
Yes.
So if it is asandigdha, in modern times, when we have governments telling us this is right behavior, this is right yoga, this is right interpretation, anybody else does anything else, they are outsiders, they are not us. We should remember that Brahma Sutra and all sutras, starting from first verse of Ishopanishad, by our greatest interpreter, it is not only that Advaitavadins will interpret one way, Dvaitavadins another way, Vishishtadvaitavadins another way, Shuddhadvaitavadins another way. Not just different Vadas, but the same Advaitavadin, Shankaracharya, interprets such a basic simple sentence like Tena tyaktena bhunjita magridakasya svidhanam. Asya Shankara bhashye Ishavasyopanishadi Shankara vadati kasyapi dhanam magridha iti eka vyakhya. Athava magridha atra vishranti. Katham magridha? Chintaya kasya svidhanam kasyapi na. Tasmat magridha. Tasmat hetu hetumat bhavena. Magridha iti hetumat. Katham magridha? Kasya svidhanam iti hetu. This is one interpretation. And in one vakya anvaya, kasyapi dhanam magridha iti. So here you see Vishwato Mukhata. So Bahumukhata. Sutra. How can Śāstrayonitva have so many alternative meanings if it is Swalpakshara? And if it is Swalpakshara and Asandigdha, Asandigdha means certain, this is me. How can it be Vishwato Mukha like Shankara is doing? That's my question.
Yes, sir, got it. So the point is actually very beautiful you highlighted. And you also provided the answer to this problem. Because the definition of sutra is also saying Vishwato Mukham. And in my lecture, I also pointed it out that when Acharya Shankara is saying Athava, it is not exclusively rejecting one, giving up first meaning, he is proposing second meaning. This is not the case. And if this were the case, then your objection was justified, that there is a, how could it be asandigdha? And both are there, both of them are accepted. And here there is no doubt that this one is correct or that one is correct. Both are correct and both are taken. And the second example which you have highlighted, Magridha Kasya Shuddhanam, there is also both these meanings are together true without giving up one. They are actually in Sanskrit. There is a statement, Tantrena va ekasheshena va. It is said Tantrena va ekasheshena va. So Śāstrayonitvad is actually, you can say that this is Tantra. Twice these terms are, these Śāstrayonitvas is spoken twice. In first meaning, because one meaning is this one and second meaning is this one. And it becomes highly condensed, Alpakshar, because what could have been spoken to speaking twice, that is spoken speaking only once. Therefore, these two meanings are coming here, and that is also substantiated with the definition of sutra where it is said Vishwato Mukham. So this is the Vishwato Mukha, because there are different interpretations possible, and those different interpretations are not alternative interpretations. Rather, they are added to one meaning and another. This is my understanding and humble submission.
Professor Arindamji, it was a wonderful, what we call, base you have given to the scholarly speech of textual analysis of Professor Saccidananda Misra. Saccidananda Misra and both Professor Arindam, they have done justice, and the textual teaching became a wonderful and intellectual feast today. And I am very happy that we could not even see that the time has gone. And even such a Shastra subject. But it, as Professor Arindam used to do normally, because I never explains all those things aesthetically in the medium of poetry. And always his philosophical ideas, very strange and very strong and very unique, have a flavor of aesthetics. And equally, the aesthetics also, the poetry also gets its what we call merit through the strong foundation of philosophy. So it's reciprocal, that is what I want to say, the poetry and the philosophy. Now, Saccidananda Misra has done a wonderful, what we call explanation. Very, very beautifully he has done. But I want to ask you, sir, one thing. I'm Murali Madhavan, I am asking, I'm talking.
Yes,
See, I have a question that Shankara at the end of what we call, when he was explaining the final emancipation, he says that even Vedas become Avedas. So if that is accepted, then what will be the position of the eternity and also the Vedas, which was already accepted in the beginning? This may be a little bit contradictory. Seems to be. I think you will get a good justification for that, perhaps. I think as far as the 3 stages of interpretation you are given to the Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa, that sutra, surely it is all inclusive. It is not exclusive. It is not alternative, as you said. It is all inclusive, and all the meanings are relevant. It is just like Jahad Ajahad Lakshana. When you take Jahad, then the Ajahad is away. When you take Ajahad, Jahad is away. That's all. But it both play its role and becomes finally put together. Then only it gives all the points are answered. If you take all the 3 interpretations. So that is what I could grasp from the Shankara's commentary. So I think what about the Vedas? How the Apaurushayatva can be looked at from the point of view of Shankara when you speak about the final emancipation, the realization?
Yes. So the point is this one: Vedas are Apaurushaya because they are not created in the way we create the text. We write in that way. They are not created. This is the point. Second point, you objected that how they could be eternal. So here in Advaita Vedanta, it is very well accepted that Jiva Isho Vishuddhachit Sadasmaka Manadeya. There are 6 things which are anadi, beginningless. However, they are mithya. So here in the same way, we can say, and Acharya Shankar is also saying many times that Vedas are mithya. Mithya, they are because they are vyavaharika. And if they are vyavaharik, they are mithya. So in that way, they could be eternal as well as they are apaurushaya. because they are not created. Buddhya vivichya, they are not created. So they are in that way they are coming.
Saccidananda ji,
Ji, sir.
This is why I these days, after Shardarshana and all the 4 prasthanas of Buddhist philosophy, which are also very deep and wonderful, and Kashmir Shaivism, at the end of my career, I feel like coming back to Vakyapadiyam, because in the Vakyapadiyam, towards the end of Brahmakandam, what you just now said, Atra Vedat, by the way, Murali Madhavanji, this is not just Shankara's Bhashya, this is in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Atra Veda, Aveda,
Yes.
where, as you see, although I am not yet 70, but I am already becoming like, it's like a child's mind, like I have become a second childhood. Because the Brihadaranyaka says...
You are younger to me.
I know. But this is like when you become senile. So I have become senile. So I keep talking because, and my support pramana is Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Because Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says that Pandityam cha nirvidya balyena tisthase. So I live like a balaka. But Bhartrihari summarizes this in a gambhira way. Because the whole process of grammar, the whole process of mimamsa, whole process of showing that even Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma has a vidhi, kriyarthaka interpretation or not, all of this makes your buddhi, it is supposed to, Shruti Vipratipannate Yada Sthasyati Nischala Samadhavachala Buddhi Stada Yogam Abhapsyasi. This is Gita. So he says, Bhartrihari, look, whole grammatical analysis of a sentence is mithya. It is apoddhara. It is artificial cutting out. And there are alternative ways of cutting out the same sentence. As contemporary linguistics says, you can make a noun phrase, verb phrase, NPVP classification. You can make a different kind of classification. You can make the kriya the mool. You can make it anvitabhadhanavadi. So why so much difference of interpretation? Not as Saccidananda Misra rightly said, not only the interpretations are vyavaharika and mithya, Veda itself, insofar as it is many varnanupurvi, wherever there is manyness, there is mithyatva. But then, can you do without it? No. Bhartrihari summarizes, and with that, I will take your leave actually. It is way past midnight here. Asatye vartmanistva tata satyam samihate.
Satyam samihate.
That asatya vartma is the Shastra, without which there is no getting to satyam. Okay.
Can I ask one question?
That is why Advaita Vedantins, they Shruti and Yukti both stands for the Shastra part or Asatya Vatma, and Anubhava is the final, that is the self-realization, and there the real the real knowledge comes. There, once you reach that stage, the other things are become unreal. Even Yukti.
But with Anubhava, you cannot teach. Even Dakshinamurti cannot teach. That's why, we should not have seminars. It will be Gurostu Maunam Vyakhyanam. Okay, now Maunam.
Really admit.
So, can I ask one question?
Namaste.
Surely.
My name is Santosh. Hello?
Yes, please. Yes,
Yes,
please.
you can talk. You can ask, sir.
Do Vedas have any beginning?
No, they have no beginning.
They have no beginning.
No.
No beginning, no end.
So
No, end is
actually they
there.
have no
End is
beginning.
there. As far as Advaita Vedanta, when you reach the final destination, when you have, as I told you earlier, as I was telling in my discussion, that when you reach the final emancipation, then no Vedas, Veda Aveda, Veda becomes Aveda. So it is, it never exists. It never exists. So it is Shanda, just like Maya, just like a Sankhya Prakriti.
So it
Yes.
has
It
beginning
is
but no
Anadi,
end.
but it is Shanda.
Can I ask one more question? Do Shankaracharya have a divine power?
I think this is not a philosophical question.
There are several stories related to Shankara glorifying him like that. But then you can believe or believe, not believe, that is another issue. But that never comes into the purview of the discussion of Śāstrayoni.
Yeah.
Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa.
Yes.
Srikala ma'am, you are muted.
Misra ji, please check whether there are questions in the chat box. Misra
Could
ji,
you
are
please
there?
read those?
If there
Yeah.
are there questions in the chat box?
1 minute.
No. Since there are only comments, right?
There are some.
Yes, ma'am. Dr.
Yes,
R.L.
if there
B.
is, yeah, please read the question.
That will be better for me, please.
Yes.
While we claim that we know more than our expression, perhaps we have some tensions behind our expression. We have certain hesitation behind our expressions too. In contrast, it is also true that many cases we express more than our knowledge.
Yeah.
Here there is no question of
That is
hesitation
why
as
the
well
first
as
Pramana is Shruti.
So here there is a problem
You have
in this
to
statement, I
Shravana.
think.
Shravana, Manana,
We
Nididhyasana. So
express
Shravana is the
more
purpose.
than our knowledge.
Yeah.
So if we express more than our knowledge, there is a problem whether that is true or not. And if that is not true, for example, when I write a novel, so I express, but you cannot say that whatever I have written as a novel, that is a product of my knowledge. It is actually a product of my imagination. This is not a product of my knowledge. So in that way, that ceases to be Prama. That ceases to be Prama. But here we are talking about Prama and Pramana. And in that case, we have to accept that a Pramata, whatever expresses, he cannot express more than that what he knows.
That's right. Thank you. Are there any further questions?
Can this textual analysis be considered a part of epistemology?
Textual analysis could be part of epistemology, but it has to be included in any pramana. Like it could be a kind of inferential process, because that could be included in inference.
Okay.
Okay, Acharya.
Yeah.
Sashtang Namaskara. I have a question.
Yes.
My question is, when I was learning from Nyaya from an Acharya, the Acharya told the logic which is taught here can be used only to establish what is already written in Vedas. It cannot be used to prove other things and create new facts the way the logic is used in science. And this he told is rooted in Mimamsa, saying whatever the Shastra is there, for example, Shaddarshana, it must be used only for establishing the validity of Vedas. But suppose if I want to write a new book in Sanskrit, how can I create new word and also make it Veda compatible?
No, here pramana, where it is said that pramanas can be employed only to prove what is written in Vedas. So this statement itself is a wrong statement. Given this situation that pramanas are employed by Buddhist scholars also and Jain scholars also, and their philosophy is not a Vedic philosophy. They are using those pramanas to oppose the Vedas, to negate the Vedas. So here the point is this one. This statement is coming from this understanding that the ultimate philosophy is found in Vedas only. So if this statement is accepted, then that statement is also true. And if this statement is questioned, then that statement is always begging the question.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? If not, we will
There is a thing discussion in which it is not Shankara, but Shankara's guru is the propounder of the theory Advaita. It is Shankara or Shankara's guru.
Santosh, you should confine the questions to what has been discussed, nothing outside what has been discussed. So if there is any further question within, yeah, please go ahead.
Namaste. Namaste. My name is Subramaniam. I'm from Bangalore. This is just a clarification kind of statement I'm going to make. It was asked by someone whether the Veda is has a beginning and has an end. In Advaita, as Professor Muralidharan rightly suggested, that Aveda, that is from this Paramarthika point of view, of course, Veda becomes, Veda is Mithya only. But then Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta very well holds the idea that the Veda has Pravaha Nityatva. So Pravaha Nityatva is accepted by, so definitely as long as as somebody is in ignorance, he will keep taking birth after birth, and the world also will continue for him. So naturally, the Veda is also part of the world. He needs the Veda. So Veda is Anitya, Ananta, Nitya as Pravaha Nityatva. Whereas Kutastha Nityatva is there only for Brahman. That kind of Kutastha Nityatva is not there for Veda, but Pravaha Nityatva is definitely accepted. I just wanted to make this point. Thank you.
Okay, accepted. Very true.
Srikalaji.
Yeah, Vinayji, go ahead.
Just
please go ahead.
Can I speak? Hello.
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, you're audible.
I am a retired person from Goa University, now staying in Udupi. I am basically from Udupi only, Misra ji. You know, I have one or two small points. You know, it's not. I think it is connected, but maybe a little, remotely connected also. But nevertheless, I believe it has some relevance. Hiriyanna, M. Hiriyanna, when he wrote all outlines of Indian philosophy, etc., he just left out Madhvacharya's Dvaita Vedanta. Then later he incorporated some of the things, and then he went on to elaborate on that, sort of giving some credence to Madhvacharya's philosophy. Well and good. I am not here to make any points regarding his likes and dislikes. The point I am trying to say is, all the three acharyas, Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, and a host of others, they have interpreted all these Brahma Sutras, Upanishads, etc., keeping particular designs of the universe in their mind to begin with. This is a very important point, I believe. I mean, from my perspective, I was in Shimla, Arindamji was there for some time. I was giving the points, and some of the things think these were appreciated in the general seminar also. The point is that the designs of the universe is the foundational point with the moksha idea, and the three designs of the universe are given in basically the tantric line of their writings. So like in Saundara Lahari, I mean, I'm not going to the literature, the authenticity, etc. Those Lakshmidhar and many other people have said and this and that. That's a different story altogether. The point is that the tantric lines, they have given the designs of the universe. 22nd shloka of Saundara Lahari makes Shri Yantra. Shri Yantra is the design of the universe. Similarly, for Madhvacharya, it is in Vijayadasa's Suladi, we have Chakrabja Mandala of Dvaita. Then we have these samhitas and many other this thing like Vishwamitra and all that kind of things. And there we have the ideas of the universe of Ramanujacharya, which are both given in in the two traditions of Vaikhanas and Pancharatra. The Ananta Padmanabha of Trivandrum and then Tirupati itself. The designs of the universe are, in my opinion, therefore, are the foundational lines, and these three acharyas, as we know very well, they have used different sources which are not found within the Vedas also, like Upaya and all that, Mahabharata and other things by Madhvacharya and so forth. Therefore, along with the textual interpretations, if we are able to make sense of those designs of the universe, I think it would be very enlightening. For example, the Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa, the different, like the saying that finally the Vedas are becoming Aveda, etc. Adhisthana will be known. Once you know the Adhisthana, what they are talking about, which is what is going to be given by the designs, I think all the problems are solved. That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's just an observation, Professor Sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this observation needs no comments. This is very much accepted.
Yeah. So these are just my thoughts, that's all.
So much. Are there any further questions?
Some people say that Vedas originated from clairvoyance. So how can we say there's no beginning of Vedas?
Vedas originate from? This is the understanding according to Advaita Vedanta, that these Vedas are produced, coming into existence, you can say, as we take breathing. When we breathe, in the same way, these Vedas are produced in the form of breathing of Brahman. So if you take that, breathings are there, and as long as one is breathing, the person is alive. So Brahman, the breathings of Brahman are Vedas. It means these Vedas are eternal, but they are not created in the same way as other things are created. So that is the only point.
Thank you.
Yeah, understood.
So we wind up this session. Purushasya Vishwasavat has beautifully been described by Saccidananda Misra, the Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa and the different dimensions of how we understand Śāstrayonitvādhikaraṇa, and all those issues initially been raised by Mr. Chairman, Professor Chakravarti, have been well attended by Saccidananda Misra, quoting the Lila Nyayena, subsequently Purusha Vishwasavat, Ayatna Lalitatva, through which the Vedas have been born, and also citing the Lakshanika Artha rather than the primary meaning, and trying to impress that it is for the Brahmanaha Swarupa Adhigama, that is the whole intention of citing this sutra as quoting Shankara's Bhashya, and he has shown both the positions and has also shown that they are not mutually exclusive of each other and how one complements the other. Beautiful. I really enjoyed, as Professor Murali Madhavan was saying, that we really didn't know how the time passed. And this is yet another example how text reading can be beautiful and highly useful. Once again, I thank all the luminaries as well as scholars who have attended this study circle with the support of Sri Shankaracharya University of Sanskrit on behalf of International School for Sri Shankaracharya Studies. I thank you all, and till we meet in the next study circle in the next month. So it's goodbye from ISS.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.
Ji, namaste.
Thank you.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ.